sexiest thing in the entire world is being really smart.
Alrighty, Katy, as an entrepreneur, we wear a lot of different hats. And with the progression of AI, do you feel that entrepreneurs will have to outsource as much, or will this allow them to be experts in the areas they're lacking in?
I think AI is a very, very complicated topic, not only on the ethics side, but also obviously, like you're mentioning, how it changes business. But I think this is where actually women and entrepreneurs can excel, because the one thing that AI can do is establish a vision. They can't really connect people in the community, right? And they can't think of new and revolutionary ideas. They can do all the mechanical things very well, like systematic things. AI to me is just another opportunity for us to think about how to innovate new businesses in a way that is actually outside of their boundaries. You know, if you think about the future of where that's going to go, you know, in the future somebody like a caretaker is going to be very, very important because they actually have a connection with human beings instead of being able to say like, hey, book me an appointment, right, or book me a restaurant reservation. So AI, in my mind, you have to think about innovating your business as an entrepreneur away from things that are very mechanical. And it can help you do those things, but definitely building vision and entrepreneurship and connection, that's something that it will remain.
So you feel like a lot of the fear that we're seeing in the media right now about people worried about losing their jobs to AI isn't necessary?
Fear is always the, you know, precursor to innovation and evolution, right? I mean, if you're doing something because of fear, you're not doing it for the right reasons, in my opinion. So, like, those people that, yes, you should be very conscious that your job can be taken over by AI, but at the same time, you should be thinking about what the next step is in innovations to move forward with.
Awesome. Thank you. Jordan, obviously with everything going on with TikTok right now, with things like user-generated content and content creation as a whole, are aspiring entrepreneurs even worried about being CEOs or creating their own companies, or are we seeing them just kind of be worried about themselves as a brand?
I think there are definitely multiple types of creators. I think there are definitely creators who already kind of have a base following and they realize that they have the ability to sell products, and so they decide I might as well sell my own products. And then I think that there are very much people who want to start a brand, but then realize that there are benefits to being the face behind the brand, so people see what's going on behind the scenes and have a lot more to connect with. And I think that there's a place for both of those, but not everybody has to be like an influencer to have a brand or vice versa.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I don't know if you feel this way as a founder, but I definitely feel like even as founders, you can have a brand, but then as yourself, you also have to go out in the world and be a brand yourself, which is extremely challenging. Emily, you have had an extremely impressive career, but you went viral on TikTok with the Bridgerton musical. Also, you guys, Emily was like very, very humble in her explanation of who she was. She is a Grammy-winning. Like, she won a Grammy. That is freaking huge, right? Like, that's kick-ass. She's like, yeah, I would do music. I'm like, oh, that's a little bit more than that. Your life changed, like, drastically through social media. How are you continuing to take advantage of this new creator space? And how are you using social media now, even though you kind of made it? I mean, we see a lot of people you've made it.
The thing about the entertainment world is that I feel like success is just a series of moments. The Bridgerton musical thing was definitely a moment, and it changed my life in so many ways and opened so many doors for me. But it's, like we said before, about turning that moment into many more moments. For me, before Bridgerton, like, I used social media. I wasn't like a creator. I kind of just did it for fun on the side. And then I saw the power of what it could do. I mean, like, this was an idea that started in the middle of the pandemic that turned into a Grammy. It allowed us to get insane opportunities that I never would have thought would happen in a million years. And honestly, I feel this immense pressure to continue that. And the thing about social media, it's not guaranteed. You can never predict it. For me, it's more about honing your craft, and when the opportunity comes, be ready for it. If I didn't have the 2 years prior to the Bridgerton experience of like busting my ass and writing every day and feeling like I was going nowhere and making no money, it was terrible. And it was COVID, and it really hit the entertainment world really hard. I wouldn't have had the skill set I needed to create the musical when it happened. It's just about preparing for the next one, always thinking ahead. You know, the usual.
Okay, so actually really quick, I was going to ask you this question next round, but because it's this goes right into what you just said. How important was like the preparation versus the opportunity? Because you, like you said, like you put in a lot of work and then you did go viral, but you busted your ass prior. When people do go viral or they have that moment, how important is the preparation when you do have that moment?
Preparation is everything. Like my mom always says, and I know this is not a revolutionary thought, everyone who talks about this, but like, luck is really when preparation meets opportunity. And when this whole thing happened, you have to take advantage of it.
What is that balance like for you? Like, what was the balance? You have to obviously go after all the opportunities, but then you also have to put in the work. So what was that balance?
To me, I'm more focused on the craft than I am on social media. People that are creators and they spend their days creating content, and that's like a very specific lane. And then there's people that try to advertise their art or their craft via social media. I feel like I fall under the one that tries to advertise their art via social media, and it's an incredible tool to reach millions of people. But if you don't have the goods to back up a moment, like if you get a viral TikTok, if you don't have the goods to continue that and pursue it and follow it up with more work, it's not going to go anywhere. It'll just be one of the 100 million, viral videos of that day. So to me, it's like these moments are amazing when they come, but it's everything behind it that matters way more. Yeah, we don't want to be a one-hit wonder here.
So over the last 3 years, like since the pandemic, we have seen the workforce change so much. There's a lot of pressure as a founder to like keep up with things, right? Like especially with social media, you have to have an online presence. What is the balance for you in being authentic to you guys have a brand that really stands for something. What is the balance for you to be authentic to your brand while still keeping up to attract your consumer?
I think it honestly works hand in hand. If you're authentic to your brand, your consumers are going to grow with you because they bought your brand for a reason. So like, what's the difference between someone buying a Boys Eye hoodie versus buying a Champion hoodie? What's your brand DNA and why are people going to buy that versus something else? And I think that for us, like Tori and I, when we first started, like she said earlier, like everybody has a heartbreak story and everyone can relate to that in some sense. So for us, I think that wearing your heart on your sleeve and just being truly authentic to yourself speaks to our consumer in a way that other brands don't. So if I had any advice to anyone starting a brand, it would be to start with a reason and think about why someone's going to be buying your piece of clothing versus something else out there, and why does that relate to you?
Katy, you're up. So with the way the world is kind of moving right now, what are your thoughts and like on what the role of education is and will be in the future for entrepreneurs? Because right now, like we discussed before with artificial intelligence and just courses you can take and everything you can learn online, do you think that the typical education of going to college will be as important to entrepreneurs and to even people who are hiring people who don't have an entrepreneurial spirit?
I think the role of education is a controversial one, and it's becoming more and more controversial. I think for some people it's a medium, but the most important thing about education is you want to learn how to learn, right? But I love what these women are saying in the last panel, Kelsi, because you also want to spend the time to learn about yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, all of these women that are up here on this panel and the panel before, they are 100% authentically who they are, and they have practiced. Like when Emma was saying the intersection of luck and opportunity, that's luck and skill. It's not just opportunity. The opportunity came to her, but she had the skill to execute and take advantage of what was there. So education in my mind doesn't have to be college. It doesn't have to be going to school or getting a degree. It's just about understanding better who you are and also learning how you learn best. Some people can actually learn through AI, which is great, and I love how I'm like becoming the AI expert because I'm not. But you know, like it's great to use it as a tool as long as it's helping you learn. And the other thing that I want to say is, you know, part of that is also making sure that you're okay with your mental health. Okay, this is something that I think is not checked in regularly, and it's not just like, hey, it's cool because I have a therapist, but really think about why you are the way that you are because of the things that have happened to you. The more you can get into who you are, that's your competitive advantage, right? I mean, you need to be able to say, articulate, because nobody can be better at you than you, right? But everybody can pretend to be Jeff Bezos, they can pretend to be, you know, Elon Musk. That's not who you need to be studying. Like, you need to be studying yourself to figure out what it is that you can bring to other people to make, you know, your brand, your personality more authentic. And also too, even if you're not authentic, why do you want to carry on that brand? You're just going to be miserable for the rest of your life. And I know a lot of very miserable rich people, okay? Trust me, that's not where you want to be. You want to be in a place where you feel like you're doing something that is truly like who you are.
I did just make you the AI expert without even... You guys, I have been so obsessed with ChatGPT that I'm on it every single day that I'm wanting to hear Katy's thoughts because I think she's brilliant. So I was like, I'm gonna pick her brain tonight in front of all of you.
Can I mention one thing about ChatGPT though? If you guys have used ChatGPT, this is actually why I think it's very, very powerful. It's not because it aggregates all the information on the website. It's because they deliver answers to you in a very concise way. What we can learn from ChatGPT is how to answer questions from people, right? But we have to be the ones to think about what question we want to ask. Otherwise, it's completely useless. But I like ChatGPT because I feel like it's very methodical and how they give you an answer.
I agree.
Without like really giving you too much direction, but that's what I think is very fascinating.
Yeah, it is. I'm on it often, just like playing around with it as much as I can. Okay, Jordan, so I am about to be 32. With how content creation is going, I am so uncomfortable like being a brand and also having a brand. But in order to have an online presence, we have to be on TikTok and like promoting ourselves. How are you finding it that you need to be like authentic with yourself while still putting yourself out onto the internet every single day?
I think that's such a relevant question for me in particular. In my first career, I was the face of a beauty brand at Color Pop Cosmetics. I grew up like very young in the space and there was no pressure. It was like early social media. We were like on Snapchat, Instagram. And then when my co-founder and I decided to start our own brand, we were again kind of the face of the brand. But then we were seeing all of these other like founders and entrepreneurs and people that we really looked up to in the space, and we thought that we really needed to present as like very mature and like super thoughtful and like very serious, and we kind of like lost our way in like what our personal branding was. Yeah. And it took us a while, like several years, and it was a lot of feedback honestly from people who followed us being like, oh, you guys are like so fun, like you don't post like that anymore. For us to realize that like people don't want to see something like super polished. They want to see like what's very authentic and real and raw. And I think that that's a very also new wave with a lot of these founders. Is like there's really no rules. You can post anything. And I think that it's just a lot of like testing and kind of throwing out there things that you think are fun. And it's okay if some of them like totally tank and sink. And I think that it's just like trying to still enjoy posting because it's similar to what Katy was saying. If you're like doing something that isn't you, then it's going to be miserable. And one of the whole points I think of being a founder is that you have the autonomy to like be doing what you love. And so the worst thing that could happen is that you let your social presence like take that away from you.
I completely agree.
And I also just say, Jordan, your grandparents are adorable on your social media, and I appreciate those.
Wait, are your grandparents here?
No, but they're always on my social media.
Oh, I love it. Oh, look at you bring them. This is great. Bring them on right now. Show me the grandparents. Emily, I already asked her a second question, so we have to skip it for you. I followed up with you already, so we're going to go to Leah.
That's after.
Leah, I about the balance of adequately researching and preparing to start a company versus just like digging in and going for it and just taking a chance? And like, what advice can you give to people about like what you think is a better approach?
So obviously, before you start a company, you have to take all the steps. You have to have a business plan, you have to have a budget, but I think something you also have to remind yourself is nothing is ever going to go as planned, ever. And there's going to be things that are thrown your way that you have not planned for and are going to literally uproot you from what you thought was happening and just change everything, and you're going on a roller coaster. I think what Tori and I have learned, like going through this, you don't only ever have a plan A, you have a plan B, C, and D, and whatever happens, you kind of roll with it. We started as a makeup brand and it completely failed, but during the time that I was failing, we had 2 pieces of merch, which were 2 hoodies, and they sold out completely, and it was about the time where Gigi stepped out in the boys like goodbye hoodie and it went viral. We literally were just basically like, had no idea how to handle the orders coming in, and we just took it as it is, and you just gotta roll with the punches. It works both ways. As long as you have a solid plan in place and you can roll with whatever comes out your way, you're gonna be fine, but you always have to remind yourself that, again, nothing is ever gonna go as planned, and you have to be ready for what is ever thrown in your direction and how to start that plan B or plan C, D, and
Yeah, it's so crazy. I remember when that picture went up on E-News on Instagram, barely met Tori, like through when we were all going out.
She screamed so loud, I thought someone, like, something tragic happened. I was so scared.
That's huge. It's like a dream. You're like, I'm on E-News.
But it's crazy because it doesn't even matter what the set or whatever you're selling is. Ariana stepped out in this exact set the other day. Like for Vanderpump reunion, and it went viral, and we sold out in a day. So all you need is that one moment. You gotta plant that seed.
That was incredible yesterday. Also, congratulations, you guys. That was like a huge pop culture moment for you. Like that was big.
That's why we're in mustard.
Yeah, absolutely. Good for you guys. I love it. Katy, we used to live in a time where we had to build a corporation like Google or Facebook in order to have a large amount of notoriety, success, and wealth. But with social media, I feel like the younger generations are thinking that they can have those things overnight. Do you feel that we are going to see new types of innovative companies when versions of success become so much easier? And will the younger generations be as motivated and disciplined to start the next Amazon?
That's a tough question. I feel like you said, in the past it was much harder to get recognition or press or even information on companies, small companies, less much bigger, like Jeff Bezos or something like that, which I'm looking for. But now I feel like with the younger entrepreneurs, the future is really what you make of it, and you don't have to feel like you need to be Amazon, right, to be successful. In fact, in my opinion, it's much better to be consistent and sustainable and much more impressive than to feel like, hey, you have to become the next billion-dollar company. It takes a lot. The other thing that I want to plug here is to take yourself from being like a brand to like a corporation. Most of it, to be honest, is in finance. Okay, so you guys definitely, I think everybody here is an entrepreneur. You should also know something about what's happening in the markets because it affects you directly. Like right now, in my opinion, we're going through a deleveraging cycle, which means that everybody has their budgets cut. Okay, so when you go to pitch, if you fail at that pitch, you have to realize that that might not be 100% because of you. That might be because of the market environment. And you have to understand when to take that kind of feedback. There are certain times when you should pitch for certain things and ask for certain multiples on what it is that you're trying to get from your investors, and other times when it's just like investment, low-key, work, grind mode. Because sometimes when you're in an environment like we are today, it's not worth it to go out there and try to raise money because the valuations that you're going to hold on your business are going to be a lot lower than they were just a year ago. To expand, I think, to become like the Amazons of the world, as an entrepreneur, unfortunately, you're going to have to learn a little bit about everything. And don't take it personally, like really go out of your comfort zone to think about what it is that you're going to do. And I will tell you, as a woman, right, which is why we're on this panel, finance is usually the biggest category thing, in my opinion, that is team, well, listen, you need to invest in your money. Like, your money needs to be working for you. I think that's very, very important. And if any of you guys have any questions about it, I'm happy to stay and talk to you about it.
All right, Jordan, the other day I was reading an article and Bloomberg reported that celebrity brands are kind of in their flop era. Consumers are wanting authenticity and quality from a brand. What are your thoughts on these celebrities using their name for instant credibility, but not being intimately involved with the company's growth? Do you think customers are starting to see this through this facade, or will this continue to be a strategy over and over?
I think that celebrity brands are primarily in their flop area because every celebrity has launched with them.
Every single one. Brad Pitt came up with like, my guy, what do you know?
Let's make that sense. But I do think, of course, there are absolutely celebrities who found a product that definitely makes sense for them. Like, I think Katy and Rode, I think they're doing very well. Like Selena and Rare, I think that's another one that's doing really well. Kim and Skims, like, that's a perfect product market fit.
Yeah.
She really offered like a value prop, like she's known for her body and her outfits, so it makes sense. I think the consumer can definitely see past if it's not like a match with the celebrity and with the product. I think it's very obvious. That's like what we're seeing, a whole wave of like influencers and de-influencing because a lot of people have lost credibility. I do think that it's gonna start kind of weeding out. I think that people realize that they can't just launch whatever at this point, hopefully. I'm hoping it's gonna clean up. I think we're all sick of celebrity brands.
I agree, fully. Okay, Emily, you have been very complimentary of your mentors and how important they've been for your career. With there being so much knowledge on social platforms, do you feel like mentors are still important, even with being able to learn something from social media?
That's a hard question too. There is really nothing like being in person with someone, watching the way they work from A to Z. I have learned the most when I have like cold emailed a composer or an artist or someone that I like. And I'm like, can I just come be a fly on the wall in their studio and watch the way you work? Watching everything they do, from like the beginning of a process to like tuning a vocal to the way that they like load this, like it's all important. But now you can get that on YouTube. One of the reasons why our musical did so well is that we live streamed every part of it. It wasn't like a big strategy. It wasn't like a, oh my god, this is our plan, this is how we're gonna do it. We're gonna live stream everything and it's gonna blow up and then it's gonna turn into X, Y, and Z. That wasn't it. We just did it because we were bored. But what I realized in the process is that people don't really understand what it means to like write a song or create a big long form project like a musical or a movie. We see all of our favorite artists and musicians doing that, but we don't actually know how they're made. And so live streaming the whole process and letting people into when we hit writer's block, when I'm like sitting at the keyboard like rewriting a flute line for like 4 hours, they saw it all. And that, I think, is the most important thing about social media right now, is that we are seeing everyone's whole process. If you go online, I have a friend who started this company that is called Studio, and they do these courses where all these very well-known people from music to tech to cooking, whatever, and they take them through step by step. And it's just crazy that we have that kind of access at our fingertips now. This is something that people would kill for 10 years ago. That being said, there's nothing like spending a lot of time with one person, getting inside their head. Like, I've been really fortunate to have some crazy mentors along the way. The little tidbits of information that they will spew, like, very randomly, end up being the biggest things that affect you as an artist.
Yeah. All right, Leah. So now more than ever, consumers care about who they are buying from and not just what they are buying. In what ways do brands need to adapt to these social norms in order to attract the consumer?
I think this kind of ties back to not only the first but second question. I think it's like, why are they going to buy what they're going to buy? Like, for me, it's like I barely shop online anymore. I barely even shop in person. But when I do shop online, it's like I have a specific brand in mind and I know what I'm going to buy and I know why I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
And I think no matter what, again, you have to relate to the brand. If I'm going to go out at night and I know what I want to buy, I know exactly where I'm going, what website I'm going to buy it, or I'm going to go in person and shop it. So keeping that consumer and making sure that they are going to come back and not only buy it once from you, but a million times in a row is so important. And I think you always have to give them a reason to buy. 1-800-POIS-LIE, like why would you ever not something like this. We go out in sweatshirts and sweatpants all the time, and we first started our brand because we used to steal the clothes from our ex-boyfriends because we liked oversized hoodies and we liked oversized t-shirts because we liked to be comfortable. And at the time, there wasn't any other brand like that for females that we could feel like, there really wasn't, besides like Supreme maybe. And so for us, we wanted to kind of like disrupt that streetwear female industry and provide girls a place to buy something that's a female-owned brand versus something that's a, you know, like...
You stole from her boyfriend, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, we even created a pair of shorts off of my boyfriend's sweatpants that he cut over his high school sweatpants. Like, we like men's clothing and we like to make it fit well for females. And that's, I think, why we're so successful, because when a lot of girls go to shop, they're going into the men's section because they like the men's t-shirts better. That's the answer to my question.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, you guys, I know it's late, but I do want to open up to the audience in case anyone has any questions. You guys can ask these four amazing women.
My question is for Katy. I just wanted to know, in a very male-dominant, I guess finance is a very male-dominant world, what advice would you have for women that are coming up in that business, how to kind of get ahead when it comes to competing with mostly men?
No, thank you for that question. I think being in a male-dominated business, being a female is absolutely a competitive advantage. Most of my clients are female, and I think the biggest advice I can give to you is that understand that you are in control of what it is that you're learning and what it is somebody is trying to teach you, okay? So I know mansplaining is like the word out there. It doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman explaining it to you. If it's something that you don't feel like you understand, you have to keep asking the questions. And normally what happens is, if somebody's trying to sell you something that doesn't make sense for you, that's why you don't understand it. If it makes sense logically on why it's good for you, I think everybody intuitively understands why that's good for you. So in your industry, in your career, you know, have other people explain it to you. If they can't explain it well to you, go to somebody else and have somebody else explain it to you. It's not because you're dumb, it's not because you don't understand, it's not because it's too complicated. Because if you are very, very good at what you do, especially at any level in any industry, you can explain it to a kindergartner and they should be able to understand it. And that's how you know you're good. It's not because you can spit out all this jargon and put together a 100-deck slide, right? And like confuse the shit out of you. Like that's somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. Alright? So stay true to yourself, ask the questions, and don't be afraid to stand up to people when they're not giving you an answer that makes logical sense. Call them out on that.
Alright, Tori, did you have a question?
So other than the Olsen twins who are matching on this side of the room, I want to know what your guys' breaking point was. What was the point where you surrendered?
I feel for a lot of us up here, feeling independent and in control of our own life is very, very important to us. And during COVID, it really hit the entertainment industry really hard. I was getting no work, I was getting no jobs, I was going out for everything under the sun, I was demoing for, when you're a composer and you're working in the film music industry, it's like, you have to demo for a lot of jobs, and you write a lot of music for free. And I was spending months of my life working towards a job and then getting so close to getting it and then not getting it. And that happened so many times over. And I've been in the music industry my entire life, but at a certain point of rejection, you're like, what am I doing wrong? Why am I not going anywhere? I feel like I'm making good music and I'm just stuck in mud. I'm not making any money. I feel like I'm just like backpedaling into oblivion. And I was there, and it's a horrible feeling because you start questioning everything in your life, especially when you don't go to college and you have no backup plan, like I do. And when you really love something, you just make it fucking work. And I hate that answer because everyone always says it. It's like, oh, if you really are passionate about something, like, you just figure it out. And I'm like, that's a terrible answer because it doesn't give us any insight into actually how to do it. But it's also kind of true. If someone wants to be a musician and they want to be a musician till the day they die, they will be a musician living in their car, they will be a musician living in a shitty apartment, they will be a musician, you know, living off of their friend's couch or whatever. Like you will make it work. And I know that I want to be in this industry no matter what, because when I'm the happiest, all I want to do is write music. When I'm the saddest, all I want to do is write music. In any field that I want to be successful in, there's going to be hard nights, there's going to be sleepless nights, there's going to be tears, there's going to be stress, there's going to be everything. And I would rather put all of that into a field and craft that I'm like super passionate about and that I couldn't live without. Yes, it was horrible for like 3 years and I like was going nowhere and nothing was happening, but I would rather that in the music industry than another one.
I'll keep mine pretty short, but at my previous job, similar to what they were saying on the other panel, I was working really hard, I was very passionate, and I was underpaid and I was undervalued, and when I got to the point that I felt like I learned everything, and I still wasn't getting the promotion or getting the recognition, and I was like, well, I think I can do it, like, let's see, and so then I left and started on the
I feel like my breaking point is when I stopped trying to please other people and just really tried to do what I wanted to do. I think that's very important, is just to stand up for yourself, because once you realize that you're worth it, nothing else actually really matters at that point from anybody else. And I think that's also the truth, it comes to the business as well, but especially personal. For me, personal is harder because you want other people to like you, right? I think we're raised in a people-pleasing culture. So the breaking point is always when you realize you have to draw those boundaries for yourself.
One more question to that.
So this question is actually for you, Kelsi. I think one of the coolest things about Viper is how you scale a very challenging to scale business. And I'm curious, now that I know that you have this passion for ChatGPT, how, if you had to go back and rebuild Viper using ChatGPT, AI, large language models, how would you have used them to help grow your business? Or in the future, how would you imagine a role that might play in scaling in the future?
Good question. I think that AI is incredibly difficult to use with a service-based business, just from what I'm learning, but I probably would have had AI make all of my decks. The amount of decks that Celeste and I have made for every client, I would have had to make every single one. But I definitely would have researched the market a little bit, and I definitely would have had ChatGPT put together pitches and do a lot of like the groundwork for us that we've done. I'm like really trying to figure out how I would use this. Trying to go back to the beginning days of my work. Yeah, I think I would have researched a lot more, and I would have had the app itself do a lot of that, the groundwork. You guys, thank you so much for coming out. I know it's late. I so appreciate you guys staying with us through the loud music, through the guy that got kicked out. Please give these 4 beautiful women a huge round of applause. And I hope that we see you guys at the next live panel.